Hey, Lynn, I was
Yeah,
going to say, I thought that it was yours and mine and Sharon's birthday month. Is Sharon February too?
no, Sharon is January. And what are
Okay.
you the
Yeah.
14th,
No, I'm the 19th.
the 19th? Okay.
Yeah.
So still among the
Okay.
Aquarius. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We will have a happy birthday month. So yeah. All right. So welcome everybody. We're here reading uh The Untethered or Living Untethered by Michael Singer. And I'm going to get our reading up. And I'm supposing this is where we ended up last time because this is where we are. So here we go. Chapter 16, The Abstract Mind. And I will start reading and then we can take turns. So, chapter 16, The Abstract Mind. I'm not sure if this is where we ended up before, but this is where we are now. So, uh, fortunately, your mind has a layer beyond the layers of the personal mind. It has been called the impersonal mind, the abstract mind, or even the purely intellectual mind. This layer of mind is not distracted by the inner commotion caused by your samskaras. It is free to soar unhindered into the pure brilliance and creativity of a higher expression of mind. So he's differentiating between the ego mind, which is the samskara, the mind that is connected to the body and the world. He's talking about that this impersonal mind, which we call spirit or our soul or our true self, that is disconnected, is not connected, not distracted. We were just reading Angelo DeLulo talking about distractions. It's free to soar unhindered into the pure brilliance and creativity of a higher expression of mind. This higher layer of your mind, which we will call the abstract layer, is what allows you to build rocket ships, develop air conditioning, and discover the existence of atoms. The abstract mind is what truly makes humans great. You are not limited to experiencing only through your senses. You are free to explore in the realm of pure intellectual mind. Your mind can take you pretty much anywhere. Do you want to build rovers that can go to the Mars so you can explore the planet on the internet? Yes, wonderful. You can do that because your mind is capable of expanding beyond the limit of your senses and the limit of your personal thoughts. Mind can operate at many levels. The question is, what are you doing with it? Intellectually, you have the ability to take images from outside and do creative things with them. You are free to use your mind's power to be artistically abstract and intellectually logical. A perfect example of the latter would be Einstein's thought experiments. Einstein came up with many of his greatest theories sitting in his armchair and reasoning out very abstract concepts. This is a great tribute to the power of our minds. It is a far cry from getting lost in your personal thoughts and making these thoughts about yourself the total meaning of your life. Once you create thoughts about what you want and don't want and how to force the world to be that way, you will never be okay inside. You will lose much of the great power of abstract thought because you cannot abstract from yourself. Life will become a battle between reality and your mental preferences. This use of mind is called the personal mind because its thoughts are all about you and your concepts, views, and preferences. The teachings of mindfulness, which center awareness on the current moment, encourage you to focus on something other than the personal mind. Focusing on the moment is one way to get your consciousness off its incessant addiction to the personal. So basically being here now is what he's talking about. Being in this this holy instant, being in this instant and not living in the past or the future. So that's the addiction to the personal. Another way to transcend the personal mind is by using your intellectual mind to create and do things that are not personal in nature. This includes being an engineer who reasons out problems, or a medical researcher who studies diseases and how to cure them. Artistry, computer science, mathematics, all these are examples of beautiful uses of the impersonal mind. The mind is great. It's just not supposed to be used for storing all your personal preferences and then thinking the whole world is supposed to match what you stored. Uh, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about this. I'm kind of looking at, okay, so uh, maybe this abstract mind he's talking about is not really the mind of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit mind is not going to be trying to figure out how to get to Mars. The Holy Spirit mind is going to be saying, there is no Mars, there is no get to, there is no going, there is nothing outside of you. But he's talking about a mind that is clearly believes there's something outside of you and that there is a world to explore. So this is maybe another level. I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts about that they'd like to share?
I would, Lynn. To me, he's talking about the ego mind that decides, I like these kinds of socks, these kinds of shoes, this kind of jacket, and it's all the busy mind of preferences. I really didn't listen to the whole um, section that you read. I just listened to the last few sentences, but it was like the difficulty with spending, a condensed amount of time with other minds is you can see how they're thinking and what they're boasting about, and it all seems so irrelevant to me.
Yeah, that
It's like, why don't we just get down to the truth right here, right now? Do we love each other? Do we want to talk about our memories? Do we want to, let's describe what we're feeling. Instead, it's like one-upmanship of this fact I know, and this, and of course, both my cousins, the oldest and the youngest, the only two left, are doctors. So of course I'm going to feel inadequate because I don't know anything according to them.
oh, that's funny. Oh my God. Yeah, I think it is you're right, Deb. This is all description of the ego mind. It may seem like it's different levels of the ego mind, but it's the same thing. And here's a real doctor, Steve.
Well, the ego mind says it evaluates constantly, and it's constantly analyzing and comparing. And then it's also constantly making noise about appearances, like how things look. There's like no value in there about truth or feelings in my mind, but I'm arguing a dumb point. I'm not trying to argue. I'm just trying to say that the right mind, to me, seems expressive and joyous, and there's laughter and there's stories, but they aren't comparison or competitive stories. They're, would you like to know this little part? And then you can all laugh together because it's kind of the same. You've Everyone's had the same experience on some level. Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm gonna shut up since we're being recorded.
No. I think what you're saying is quite clear, and you're right. Let's see what Steve has to say. Please go ahead, Steve.
Well, I've been listening to Michael Singer ever since I moved to Gainesville. He's only about 25 minutes drive from here. And what I like about his viewpoint is that he doesn't discount photons that bounce off real trees. He doesn't discount the reality of an outside. There is a phenomenal world that exists. He taught, and I like the fact that he's talking about uh, the interpretation and the stories I make up about it. And I hear a lot. That's why I don't accept everything that I hear from people who are into the Course in Miracles saying, "Oh, it's not real. It doesn't exist. The only thing that's real is my own mind. There's nothing outside of it." Well, when I die and before I was born, I can't prove it. I mean, subjectively, there nothing existed, but there is a world of trees and clouds and rain and storm and wars and peace. It's real. It exists. And what I like about his viewpoint is that for me, spirituality is practical, practical spirituality. It's not anything to do with beliefs. As comforting as it is to believe that I have a soul that moves from this life to the next life, as comforting as that is, that's not knowable. That's not on the human mind's pay schedule. It's the unknown. And I love that this mind can be used to make beautiful furniture and go to the moon. I like Mickey's realistic view of life because as realistic as me looking at my foot right now in the tree through the window, that's how real God is. And to turn God into some sort of belief system, Mickey doesn't do that. And I respect him for that because I really think that the experience of God is as real as me having light hit my eyes and seeing the world. So that's where I'm coming from. I really appreciate his practicality in the world of the mind and in the world of the world and in the world of reality for me. There is an outside world that exists. I didn't create it to hide in it. That part I don't accept. But I'll go to any church and get something good from it, or synagogue or philosophy. But not everything is to be taken to understand is to be taken literally, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Stephen. And yeah, that it's always a kind of a quandary, because you can't deny the reality of the world. It appears very real and is very compelling. So, and Jesus tells us that's an unworthy form of denial. So there's got to be, and I do like the way Mickey talks about the world and understands the world. I'm just, you know, and I think, he's I don't think there's a difference between the world and God, if that makes any sense. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. The world I see is a projection of my own thinking. So, obviously it's all God, whether you call it that or not, or whether you experience it as that or not. Uh, what is beyond what can be experienced. And I think that's, where I think I tend to get very confused. So, I wouldn't be surprised if other, enlightened people, awakened people got confused about that as well. I think there's a lot to what he's saying here. I just think that it is, like being appreciative of the packaging of whatever it is that you're experiencing, but what's inside the package, you can't see, but there's something there. Uh, and until you actually get into the package, you never know really what it is. Anyway, Sharon has her hand up. Go ahead, Sharon.
Well, I love what Steve shared. And I often have felt like he does too, because there's a nihilistic type of feel to the course. But on Sunday, I listened to Keith Kavanagh's There Is No World, and it's phenomenal. Now, he came back to what Lynn just said. Brahman is the world. Brahman is what Ramana Maharshi said is the world. So everything here is God. So we don't have to look at it as nihilism. We can look at it as look what we did, because we're all like we're the son of God that made this world. And the world comes alive because there's an aliveness, the intelligence. That's what we are. We are the Tao. Anyway, I hope that was clear. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's as clear as it can be with the state of mind. I mean, how can a mind that can only experience itself in this physical world see and know beyond the physical world? The mind that defines itself, can't you know can't see beyond that. And it's really funny. I saw this little kid. There's a lot of little children that are coming up with these deep understanding of the universe and whatever. And I saw this little boy, and he was debating an adult, and he was saying, well, um, three dimensions is really all we can experience here, because that is our that is our realm of experience. The three dimensions, the senses, the the sight, sound, hearing, feeling, all that kind of stuff, taste, all those things. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a fourth dimension, or a fifth, or a sixth, or an 11th. He's just saying you can't experience it because your mind is generated by and operated by a three-dimensional being. So anything fourth dimensional is imagination. I mean, you can only know it in your imagination, unless you, and he didn't say this, but I'm guessing, unless you go beyond the third dimension in your knowing. And this is what I think these, well, enlightened characters are saying. They're living in the fourth dimension. That doesn't mean that the fourth dimension is something that I can know about, because I'm only seeing things through my own mind. Well, thank you. It's from the fourth dimension. What is it? Ooh, I just got a energy drink from Einstein Brothers, not Einstein Brothers, Dutch Brothers. Yeah, not a bagel. It's a coffee. Thank you. Anyway, does anybody else have any thoughts about this? All right. Well, Sharon, did you still want to have your hand up?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. So the outside world is simply not going to magically match what you've stored in your mind. In fact, it is not very intelligent to expect it to. It is really intelligent to devote your life to fighting with life so it aligns with your past good and bad experiences. Well, let me see. I have to go back because that's a question. Is it really intelligent to devote your life to fighting with life so it aligns with your past good and bad experiences? How can you enjoy life if you're always worrying and struggling to get it your way? That's what all of our societies are doing. And that's what almost every human being has done. People just haven't evolved enough to learn not to do that. Rich people, poor people, sick people, healthy people, married people, single people, they are all bound in the same way. If they get what they want, they're relatively okay. If they don't get what they want, they suffer to a greater or lesser extent. Fortunately, you do not have to live this way. There is a much higher way to live life, but it requires that you change how you interact with your mind and with the life unfolding before you. So would somebody else like to read for a bit?
I'm happy to. To understand this transformation, let's first take a look at how you even decided what you want and don't want. If you pay attention, you will see that your past experiences determine your preferences. You didn't just make it all up from scratch. Your views, opinions, and preferences are formulated based on data from your past. For example, let's say you're totally secure in your love relationship until you hear that your friends had a breakup and they are miserable. All of a sudden, you start worrying about your own relationship. You were fine before you heard about your friends, but now you're not. You stored the concept of a breakup inside your mind, even though it really had nothing to do with you. You took it personally. It is possible to process the information without it getting stuck in your mind. Is it possible to process the information without it getting stuck in your mind? Of course it is. Your friends had a problem and they shared it with you. It came into your mind, passed through your consciousness, and you experienced the feeling of compassion. The interaction actually made you a greater being. If you were able to fully absorb the reality of life without it getting stuck in your mind, if you want to recall it later, you can willfully restore it from memory with all its glory, but it will not keep coming back up by itself. Since it did not get stuck in the conscious mind or shoved into the subconscious, it will not adversely affect your life. It actually made you a better person because you were able to handle the experience. On the other hand, if you were not able to process the experience without resisting it, it will stay stuck in the conscious mind and create havoc. If you really resist it, it will get shoved down into the subconscious where it will fester and spread its disturbance throughout the mind. In either case, you are storing what you are afraid of in your mind. If you do this, you will be afraid of your own thoughts. How could you not be? You made a collection of unpleasant thoughts in your mind, and they are going to keep coming back up. Now, in order to live in there, the analytical aspect of mind must be utilized to figure out what needs to happen outside for you to be okay. This is where preferences come from. They're simply attempts to use outside events to solve the fact that you're not doing well inside. This results in the constant practice of judging everything that's unfolding based on your preferences. It's easy to see why people don't agree with each other. Nobody else has had the experiences that came in through your eyes. What you have inside your mind is completely different from what others have inside their minds. It can't be otherwise because the data in your mind came from the experiences you had. Nobody else had those experiences, not even close, not your spouse, your children, or your friends. Not only were your past experiences different, but you processed them differently. We can certainly force ourselves to conform to the other ways of thinking in order to gain acceptance, but that just makes living inside all the more complicated. You not only have your default way of thinking resulting from your stored past impressions, but now you must suppress parts of that in order to conform to the group mindset. No wonder it gets messy in there. You're holding all that personal stuff inside your mind, the good, the bad, the ugly. The inevitable result is that if the moment in front of you happens to align well with your stored patterns, you feel great. You feel open, excited, and enthused. And if it doesn't align well with your stored patterns, you get upset. You immediately close, get defensive, and maybe even get depressed. Now we're back to the question we asked earlier. What's it like living in there? Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's heaven, sometimes it's hell. This is why. It is not because God made it that way. You did this. You were given free will, and what you did with your free will was make a mess out of your mind. instead of being in awe that the moment in front of you even exists, that you're breathing. You fight with it to make it match what you want. And I added, if you're breathing, that Mickey did not actually write that, but that is what Steve, I think, was talking about a little earlier, is the essence of what we feel, see, hear, and touch is necessary for our own growth and unfoldment and healing. And I love this description of all the stored, we can call it baggage or stored um, subconscious and conscious events. And that's why a visit with family can be so triggering. But in reality, so is the whole world. If we have stuff that's unhealed, it wants to come up, it wants to be addressed. Just the way I look at it, that in my own personal hell, called my life story, some of it seemed so horrific. And yet now that it's healed, it doesn't at all. It feels um, divine, highly orchestrated by one who cared. That there was a plan I didn't understand, but the healing and the process of it all has allowed me to see a world that is brighter and better than I ever thought. Because whatever I think is usually not right. I'm sorry. I get so twisted up when I try to explain things, which is another reason, my family will listen, but then the next thing you know, I'm in a little spin-off. You don't know what I'm talking about. I try to keep sentences very short and brief so I don't let out too much.
Right.
Anyway.
And that's when you have to have the trust that whatever is coming out is what they need to hear. And the Holy Spirit's in charge of your experience. So, that's where whatever you want to call it, there is a meaning, there is a plan. And so, your family maybe brings out, things in you that you don't especially think you like to hear about, but it's all there for a purpose. So and so all of these things that are going on in the mind, really, it comes to the point of, do I believe it or not? And that believe it or not is the most important thing. Steve, yes, please go ahead.
As I'm riding my bike on this quiet road, it has occurred to me in this conversation that the idea that I have and that I have held, that there's this guy like with a chess set, or he's moving all the moves, and this is a highly intelligent, caring, loving God, may not be true at all. It's nice for my mind loves to create neat, comforting stories. But what I do know is that I can have a nice day. A lot of it has to do with me and my choices. And I don't know whether a nice day is given to me by an intelligence the way I think of it. It's almost like it's possible that my ideas about this intelligence is like as inaccurate as or incapable of knowing the way things really work any more than a dog can put together a carburetor. It just doesn't enter into the realm of ability. But what does, and I believe that I'm here every day to enjoy, at least that's my goal, and I have the ability to rewrite my scripting that my head, my ego that Mickey talks about, comes up with. So it's kind of like a all you can eat. And on some of the stuff, it's really bad. And some of the stuff on the buffet is really good. I get to choose it. And I get to even notice my habits oftentimes are not the best choices, but I've been doing it so long that it's comforting in a certain familiar way. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. And it is what is it that I want? It all comes down to preferences, right? So, I prefer a sunny day so I can ride my bike, and it's raining now, I'm going to be unhappy, or it's raining now so I can stay inside and build a jigsaw puzzle. It has nothing to do with whether it's happening or not. It's how I experience it. So if I experience it as being uh, love, no matter what it is, I'm going to be happy no matter what. So there we go. And if I don't experience it as being good for me, I'm not going to be happy. So there we go again. uh, all right. And Rafi has his hand up. I need to take a really brief break. So Rafi, go ahead and you guys continue to talk and I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. Happy trails. What keeps coming up to me is that the only purpose I have is to awaken to the truth of what I am, my highest self, my highest consciousness, the God consciousness, however I frame it. And that every single thing that happens in this dream world is happening to feed that, to make sure that happens. So if something happens today, oh, I wanted to do this, but I can't do that. Okay, what do I have to learn here? That there was something that was going on in me that needed correcting. You want it this way, you don't want it that way, you don't want it this way, you want it this way. Got it. Now let's go find out what that is and let it go so I can stay on track with getting to the truth of my in itself, my divine presence. This world, this body isn't what I am. This dream world is not real, but I put it here to feed me through the process of awakening from the dream world to the truth of what I really am. Get back to it over and over again. Is there any other purpose? No. Is everything feeding that? Yes, perfectly. That's that divine guidance that is always there. God is never indifferent, not even for a moment. And as long as I stay focused on that, then I realize that no matter what comes up, it's happening for me to feed that purpose of awakening. And it's not happening to me. So if it's a sunny day and it's great, but if it's a rainy day and I can't do that, what do I need? Well, I wanted it to be that way. Well, the want is what's causing all the problems. The want is what's causing all of the things, the pain. Well, then let go of the want. Again, simple, clean, understood, got it. Thank you. And Lynn should be back soon.
I am back. Yeah.
There she is now.
Perfect. And Steve, did you still want to say something?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I just want to add to what Rafi's saying is that I can be in a place of feeling things that I don't want and have it soften. I don't need to get rid of it because when I try to get rid of it, then it persists. But when I relax and identify with my spacious self, then I can actually allow discomfort to be just as it is. And thoughts that, oh, I wish it were sunny today, to be able to, I can have that simultaneously while I relax into the spacious self that I am. So I think it's really important because when I do that, the desires for other things to be happening that are not softened. That's what I mean to say, is that there's a softening that comes with the art of living uh, happily. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you, Steve. And yeah, that is exactly, I think, what it is. It's just a coming to the place where, my preferences really have no meaning. I'm pretty much making up what I like or don't like. Um, and as Byron Katie always says, when you argue with reality, you lose every time. There's not a time, and she's considering reality what is happening. When you argue with what's happening, you're not going to be happy. But when you accept it, you're going to be winning all the time because you're you're just happy with whatever is. So thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Rafi. Um, I do appreciate everything that you share. So let's go on to chapter 17, Serve Mind or Fix It. Who would like to read?
I can read.
Great, thank you.
Okay, serve mind or fix it. All your preferences exist because you stored experiences from the past inside your personal mind. This makes it difficult to live in there, but instead of fixing it, you double down and try to satisfy your preferences. I want to feel good, and the way to feel good is by getting the house I want. The way to feel good is by owning the car I've always wanted. The way to feel good is by finding a better relationship. This one's not doing it for me. These attempts to compensate for your blockages are, at best, short-lived because you are not actually getting rid of the blockages. The foundational choice we have in life is either constantly control life to compensate for our blockages or devote our lives to getting rid of our blockages. The fact is, we stored these samskaras inside. We shouldn't have, but we did. Now, instead of getting rid of them, we expect the world to adapt to them. We know it's not going to happen by itself, so we use the personal thoughts layer of mind to analyze how the world needs to be to match what we want. We're brilliant at figuring out how to make someone become attracted to us or to change things so they better fit our limitations. Almost everything we do is governed by this personal thoughts layer of mind. It is the same analytical power of mind that Einstein used to see E equals mc squared. But you're using it to figure out what to do if someone's talking badly about you. This entire layer of mind intellectualizes and analyzes your stored patterns to try to figure out how the world needs to be so that when it comes in, it will feel good and never feel bad. That is why you tend to have so much trouble making decisions. You're trying to figure out how each choice will make you feel better. Where do I want to live? Should I change jobs? I need to figure this out. You're trying to mentally conceptualize how the proposed action will match the patterns you've stored inside. You don't even think twice about it. Of course, that's what I'm doing. What else would I do? How about live in reality and enjoy the moments that are unfolding in front of you? That's what else you can do. Use your mind to be creative, inspiring, and do great things. Don't let the mind always be thinking about itself and what it wants. Learn to enjoy life as it is, instead of limiting the ways you can enjoy it to serve your past impressions. The self-centered analyzing layer of mind is the worst. It is the model you build about how everything and everybody needs to be for you to feel okay, including the weather tomorrow. It better not rain tomorrow. I'm going camping. Now you're getting upset about the weather. You have no control over the weather, yet it's bothering you. It's not just the weather. The driver in front of you is going 10 miles per hour below the speed limit. Let's watch your mind. This is ridiculous. I don't have time for this. What's wrong with them? They're supposed to be in the slow lane. Turns out the problem is not how the person in front of you is driving. The problem is what your mind is doing about how the person in front of you is driving. Eventually, you catch on that you've developed an entire intellectual model of how every single thing needs to be, how people should behave, how your spouse should be dressed when you're going out, even how much traffic there should be. How many things do you do this about? Pretty much every single thing. You honestly believe that what you made up is how it should be. The truth of the matter is, that's absurd. There is no way what you made up in your head, based upon your very limited past experiences, has anything to do with what's supposed to be happening in the real world. Do you want to hold up there for a sec?
Sure, I'd love to.
Yeah, I just think this goes so well with the lessons that we've been doing. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of that person who's driving 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. I'm not a victim of, my partner who walked out. I'm not a victim because I'm the one that's making all of this up in my mind. And I could see peace instead of this. They all go with all of this. We think that everything should fall into place at our feet. And the road should be paved in gold, and everything that we want should be along the side of the road for our picking. And if we never bumped up against anything that we had a contraction about, we would just wander down that golden road forever and never think about what it is that's going on. We always think these challenges are against us, but they're really for us. And we always think that everything should line itself up for us when there are 8 billion others, fractured segments of the mind that are out there thinking it's about them. And what if our golden road is somebody else's mud?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. And it turns out it's all about me, right? Everything is all about me. So how can, how do you fit into it? When I say I think this is good and you say I think this is good, then all we're going to do is argue because we both have our point of view. And it turns out when you look at it, we're both looking at the same thing, and having the same thought. It just is yours sounds different than mine or looks different than mine. But the reality is, you can't, it's just what's happening. So our interpretations are not going to change it. It's just going to be what it is. And I used to get so mad when people would say it is what it is. I don't know. Anyway, thank you, Mickey. Rafi has his hand up, and then Steve. Go ahead, Rafi.
Yeah, the sentence right here is this has anything to do with what's supposed to be happening in the real world. This ain't the real world. It's here to serve, great, but it ain't the real world. It's an illusion. And I have to keep that balance, remind myself of that balance all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rafi. I can't have it my way because I don't have a way. Steve, please go ahead.
I've been listening to Mickey for 50 years because he lives near my house. And what he always talks about is that here we are on this little piece of dust in the middle of space. And he has pictures on the wall of the Temple of the Universe showing how small of a speck it is. And he said he always talks about how much is going on compared to how much is going on in your mind and your perception and your experience. He said, just you with all your experiences, compare that to the universe, to the rings of Saturn, and what's going on in this world is infinite compared to your insignificance by comparison. And he's always stresses that here we are with the ability to be alive and to witness everything. And I don't split this world up into this is fake and then there's the real world. There's really one world, and I get to live in it. And it's a short time. So I want to make this experience to be one of joy and connection. And so I just am constantly reminded by Mickey how much is really going on. And here I come along and go, well, that tree needs to be over there rather than there, or that shouldn't be, when there's uncountable things to make this miracle of this time right now amazing. This world, this one world, this experience, it's amazing. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Steve, it is amazing. And what we think, my contribution to it is to the whole is like really is minuscule. I love how he kind of brings it all down to the fact that yeah, we are just a little speck of dust out here and amongst all of this. And you can look at it that way and yes, be like totally grateful and amazed at being where you are. And then you can also look at it and say, as our lessons are teaching us, the world I see is a projection of my own thinking. Now, does that mean that I projected from the Big Bang till now, everything in the physical world that appears to be happening? No, I'm projecting the things I see. Jesus is very clear in the Course in Miracles. The world I see is a projection of my own thinking. That doesn't mean that the world that everyone else sees, the world that Steve sees, the world that Rafi or Mickey or Oddsy or Sharon or anybody else sees, Linda, that doesn't mean that you're seeing it the same way I'm seeing it. Obviously, you're not. Obviously you're not, because we're all seeing it from our own POV, point of view. So, where, we can get confused and think that, this whole everything that ever was was my invention. And you'd be right, because everything I know about everything that is in my own mind. It can't be anywhere else. So I'm not in the mind of Steve or Deb or Mickey or Sharon or anybody else. I'm in the mind of Lynn. And in the mind of Lynn, that world I see is, yeah, it is a projection of my own thinking. A lot of people get confused about that, but that's a reality. And I know it's time for our other group to start, but I just wanted to say this. I talked to my son yesterday. He called me up and he said, Mom, uh, about this thing of, manifesting, and how, you think of a thing and you can manifest it. And I said, yeah, I know the concept, and, I know people believe that. And he said, well, I just have to tell you, the other day I was looking at the laundry room, and Veronica, his wife, he said it's such a mess in there. And he said, I thought if anybody needs to come in if anything breaks down and I need to have a repair person come in, I'm going to have to clean all this. It's going to be a big old mess. And he said, then today I went to do a load of laundry and the washing machine broke down. And he said, can you believe that? And I said, absolutely, I can believe that. But think about it this way. You did not make that happen. You did not make the washing machine break down because you were worried about what a mess the laundry room was. You had a premonition, because you are all in time and space. You knew that the washing machine was going to break down. And so your mind, you were being forearmed. That's what I always say. Forewarned is forearmed. I always have said that my whole life. I thought the Holy Spirit was forewarning me about things that were going to happen, that they weren't happening because I thought of them. I thought of them because I needed to see them and needed to think about. I said, when that happened, when you have that thought, what were your thoughts? Your thoughts were, what would happen if this thing, how would I clean this up? Who would I call? You had all those thoughts that come into your mind. You were being forewarned that it was going to break down and given the opportunity to make a plan for what you're going to do with it. And he was like, that makes more sense. And I said, well, whatever gets you through the night, buddy. But let me tell you, that's how I see it. I'm not projecting these things out there. I'm just know that, because it is already written. The script is already written. It's already done. So yes, it's possible that I could see forward into, through clairvoyance, what, you know, the possibility that something could happen, and given the opportunity to uh, make a plan, figure out what I'm going to do, and not panic when it happens, because I've already thought about it. And I think that really made him feel a lot better. I don't know. That's what I tell myself, though, every single time. Wow, if I hadn't have, thought about this, I would never have imagined that I need to call this person and have this thing done, or whatever. So anyway, those are my thoughts. The mind is a very powerful thing, and the story, the script, it's already written. There's not anything that's going to happen that hasn't already happened, because it's all a part of the dream, the illusion. And it all happened at the very moment of the tiny mad idea. So, yes, his washing machine broke down billions of years ago when we first had the thought there could be a washing machine. All these things happen, not because, we're making them happen. We're just walking through it. We're we're walking through it. And I don't know if you've ever done, anybody play video games, um, which, everybody in my family does. But you can, if you want to know what to do in a video game, how to work it, you can go to a walkthrough and watch somebody else play it and see how they did it, so that when it comes time for you to do it, you already know. And so that's a walkthrough, and I think that's what happens, is we get a little bit of a walkthrough into it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop this YouTube and get